Basically, I want to share with you, it's a three-part presentation reviewing how the false promise of infection was put out to the public as an infection prevention. And I think it's divine timing that it happens today. Let's review. It was the I Got the Shot campaign that was primarily a social media campaign to persuade the public and their loved ones that they would be protected if they got vaccinated. So I'll just kind of hold up these slides as well, but you have them, they're part of record. So going through each slide here, you'll kind of notice that how public health put out the messages that if you get vaccinated, you'll keep others safe. And there's multiple counts of this, and it was a program put out in 2021 from March, April, and May and June, I believe. So here's another example here. I see we don't have the camera, but that's fine. Of I Got the Shot, and it says that why he's getting it, Dr. Alfred Seekamp is getting it only to not only to provide protection for himself, but to protect the people he cares about. I made a comment at the time saying, I'm confused. The CDC says still have to social distance after full vaccination. That doesn't prevent you from spreading, which is true, this statement or this post. There was no comment made by that. Here's another one. Anna Melissa got the shot so that she could hug her family. Again, I posted like, hey, this seems contrary to what the CDC is saying. And again, no comment. And this was also at the time, because some might say, well, we didn't know. But at the bottom of the CCPH website, it said, we don't know yet getting a vaccine, getting a COVID-19 vaccine will prevent you from spreading. Yet in the social media, it was put out a whole different message. Here's another one. Councillor Medvedev was saying that without worry that he could infect others. So there was definitely a message being put out that if you got the vaccination, you would stop the spread. And so there's several examples of this. And if you look at it, the word protect is constantly used in this campaign. But the truth is that people were not being protected from infection and transmission. But this information was put out to the public, and it goes multiple times that this information was that not only that they would protect, but they would also protect others. And
your time has concluded.
Okay.
Put it on public record so the public can look it up.
James Clark.
Hello, James Clark here. I'd like to play this video.
Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market. If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science.
You want to be a dead end to the virus. So when the virus gets to you, you stop it. You don't allow it to use you as the stepping stone to the next person.
As we progress in that direction, the more people get vaccinated, the more the virus is blocked from being transmitted. The more people we get vaccinated, the lower, that helps prevent transmission. There's no evidence that the UK variant is, I believe that the available vaccines, all three of them, work are effective against the UK variant. The good news is if you have been vaccinated, you can fully vaccinated, you can be with other people who have been, you might have seen the new recommendations on that. You can be with other people who have been fully vaccinated. This, by the fact that the more people we get vaccinated, that helps tamp down transmission and spread of the virus. And I would be, given what we've experienced with the waves, I think our wave 4 that we're seeing now would be, we'd be seeing much higher numbers than we're currently seeing if we didn't have a significant proportion of the population vaccinated. And I believe that this, though we're nowhere near herd immunity, the more people who get vaccinated, the larger proportion of the population that gets vaccinated, the less transmission we're having. And I believe this is contributing to our numbers flattening or declining at this point. And this is predominantly a disease, we're seeing of the pandemic of the unvaccinated.
I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccine.
When you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a vaccinated person who gets a breakthrough infection with Delta, it is exactly the same as the level of virus in an unvaccinated person who's infected. That's the problem. So those data are very compelling.
I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccine.
Your time has concluded.
Thank you.
Bob Reynolds. Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa Leedy. Sorry about that.
Good morning. What science served as the basis for the Clark County Public Health I Got the Shot campaign? Based on studies listed on the CCPH COVID website at the time, I see two possibilities: the vaccine clinical trials and a CDC study. The clinical trials tested effectiveness against preventing COVID. In public health parlance, prevent means reduce the rate of occurrence, and COVID means a collection of symptoms. So prevents COVID means reduces symptoms. It does not mean the vaccine stops you or me from being infected with or transmitting the virus. Pfizer's EUA request makes this clear, stating data are limited to assess the effect of the vaccine against transmission of SARS-CoV-2, and Moderna said essentially the same. The clinical trials did not test for stopping virus transmission. The pharmaceutical industry did not make the claim the vaccines would stop transmission. Public health did. Clark County Public Health did. CCPH also relies on studies published in the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, abbreviated MMWR, and directors' reports often include links to CDC studies in the MMWR. During the August 25, 2021 board meeting, a counselor asked whether a particular CDC study was peer-reviewed. She was told yes, but that was not accurate. MMWR articles are not peer-reviewed. Instead, the articles go through an internal clearance process, but not to ensure academic rigor. According to the CDC, by the time a report appears in MMWR, it reflects or is consistent with CDC policy. The MMWR's policy is not guided by science. Instead, policy restricts what science they publish. In May 2021, midway through the I Got the Shot campaign, the CCPH website began referencing the CDC HEROES study, published in the MMWR. The 3-month study looked at frontline workers comparing vaccinated and unvaccinated positive PCR tests, both symptomatic and asymptomatic. However, they began counting in December 2020 during the height of a COVID wave, and when all study participants were unvaccinated, loading up the unvaccinated case numbers. By the time the frontline workers achieved fully vaccinated status in mid-February, the COVID wave was over. At this time, both vaccinated and unvaccinated cases would have been much lower. Since the study does not provide any data showing when each positive test occurred, it's unreasonable to draw any conclusions about the vaccine's effectiveness in reducing cases, symptomatic or asymptomatic. It appears as though the I Got the Shot campaign was designed to guilt healthy young people into getting a vaccine on the unsupported promise that they would be protecting their vulnerable loved ones. This false promise to stop transmission is what I referred to as the myth of herd immunity at last month's board meeting. I do not blame those who participated in the I Got the Shot campaign. They trusted public health. The question is, what science was public health relying on? Thank you for your time. Thanks.
Okay, Bob Reynolds.
Thank you, Bob Reynolds. Members of the Board of Health, as summarized on the county website, you have the final authority over all matters pertaining to preservation of life and health of the people within Clark County. Final authority, I hope that includes authority over communications and messaging coming from the County Department of Health. Some counselors rightly question these data and reports and the necessity of certain policies, except for asking the health director to write applications to reopen from the pandemic restrictions in 2020. I do not recall this council's authority ever being exercised to change the course of action taken by the Department of Health. This council even started to defend the Department of Health and missed the opportunity to stop ineffective discriminatory mandates. And as we've now seen, DOH messaging was full of overpromises and misleading statements. You might even call it misinformation. Trust in public health is critical to public safety. Trust is the currency of public health. Trust is built through communication of consistently accurate information. This is all the more important when public health agencies can reach nearly everyone through various means, including what seems like a direct line to the editors of our local newspaper monopoly. This county health department has great influence in consumer decisions. If the county reuses messages without screening for accuracy, it exposes county consumers to messaging that, when errant, can be dangerous and will continue to undermine trust in public health, Councillor Midvigi. It's not just my opinion on the importance of trust in public health. A 2021 survey by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation of Harvard of public trust in local and state health departments show 55 to 60% of people only somewhat trust or not at all. Another study in January this year shows a worsening, that nearly half of all people trust public health not at all. This point is not missed by the State Department of Health, which has announced in their top resolutions of 2023 that includes rebuilding trust in public health. How'd that happen? Well, the first step to fixing the problem is to admit you have a problem, right? This is a grave problem that this board and county manager need to step up and address. What's the solution? First, tell the truth. Correct the errant messaging. The county and world now know the shots don't stop infection and transmission, so the argument to protect others doesn't hold water. Do not allow remarks from your officials like pandemic of the unvaccinated to unfairly disparage a large portion of the community just because the president and a few officials mumbled it. And for God's sake, don't allow any messaging that says the shots are safe during pregnancy. There are no safety data unless you want to rely on tests in 4 pregnant mice where there have been 76 reports of miscarriages from the vaccine in Washington state. Next, please hold accountable the experts who knew, yet let this dangerous kind of information out. Using information from other departments does not absolve you from the health department, the health officer, and the council when this information is inaccurate. That's when we need you the most to correct course.
Your time has concluded.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room